We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans Oliver from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concannons. Carters and Greeks. All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that beautiful song and that beautiful voice, you know we're about to be doing one thing, and we're about to be talking Ball State. I am John, your host, as always, joined tonight by my good friend Colin from Ball State Football Talk and Ball State Football Hall of Famer, Ball State Hall of Famer in general, the one, the only Mr. Willie Snead. Boys, we're back for another one. It's going to be a tough one this Saturday, I'm sure, but we're going to have someone who's going to give us some inside look at the Toledo Rockets here in just 1 second. So before we get to him, I got a couple things as always. Ball State of the Union is a proud partner with the Shop Indy. That is www.theshopindy.com. Use that code BSUnion at checkout and you will get free shipping on your order. Holidays are coming up, guys. If you got any Ball State fans in your family, in your friend group, whoever you're going to buy presents for, check out their selection of stuff. They got a bunch of shirts, a bunch of hats, sweatshirts, all kinds of great stuff. Use that code BSUnion at checkout, and you'll get free shipping. And you save that money, and you can use it, for whatever else you want. Maybe buy yourself something with all the savings you're going to get from that. So, again, code BSUnion, free shipping from the Shop Indy. And also, Ball State of the Union is a proud member of the College Huddle. The College Huddle is a network of nationwide college football podcasts made by fans for fans like this show here, Ball State of the Union. So speaking of the College Huddle is actually home to our guest we're about to have on right now to tell us a little bit about the Toledo Rockets and our matchup this weekend for Ball State. And this is Pat. Pat is from the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad, and that's where I found him. I found him right there on the College Huddle. So if you're a fan of anything college football, be sure to check out the College Huddle. You'll find Ball State of the Union there, and you'll also find Pat from the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad. So without further ado, boys, here's our good friend Pat. Pat, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, great to be with you. Thanks for reaching out and getting the inside view of the Rockets for this matchup.
Yeah, if you look at the spread, if you look at all this from the game, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that much of a contest, but we want to get your perspective on it, and maybe there's something that we're missing out there, maybe something that, the odds makers are making or are missing out there. So before we get into the game this Saturday, I want to talk a little bit about yourself and the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad. Kind of how did you guys start this show, and maybe how has it grown over time?
We started probably about 3.5, 4 years ago. It was my son-in-law and myself, and my son-in-law is Kyle W. We call him on the show Kyle W. Smith, after the great WJR host was W. Smith. It is actually his middle name. Anyway, we were sitting there watching college football one day, and we're like, you know what? There's not really any podcast about UT athletics. And so we just started talking. He's in a band, and he does a lot of mixing, and he's our producer, but he's also live on the show. And we just decided to fire it up. We know a lot of people. I graduated from Toledo back in the 80s, late 80s, and he went to Toledo as well. And then my partner I brought in is Ryan Brandt, who also went to Toledo, and he was the sports director at WXUT campus radio at the time, back in the day. So we brought him in. He's like a Rain Man for sports knowledge. He is just crazy. He can pull up who was the Ball State, who was the Ball State's best receiver in 1987. And he still remembers it to this day, in stats like that. So we grew organically through bringing on old players and some guests in the first year. And then we kind of expanded our reach and started bringing in coaching staff. And we cover all of the non-revenue sports as well.
Okay.
And we do a lot with the track and field cross country programs and such. And we also heavily cover basketball up here, especially the women's program. We have gone through a couple of different co-hosts through the years and brought in Dan the Rocket Man Savage, who is his uncle is actually the namesake of Savage Arena. So his aunt Kelly Savage is one of the all-time leading scorers in UT women's basketball history. So he's got a big heritage with UT. And we also brought in Nate, the Texas Man Rocket. He actually lived up here with us and played high school ball with Kyle. They were both offensive linemen. And he moved down to Texas recently. And so we bring him in every episode, and he always has a different perspective to bring in, which is great. And, you know, last year we just got involved with the college huddle. So it was, you know, kind of a big step in the last couple of years. We've gotten all the coaches on, our athletic director, different celebrities from around Toledo and such. And, you know, I think as I've seen your stats, we're about the same level as you as far as viewership and listening audience. So it's just been a blast, you know. Mm-hmm. And we've got a couple of sponsors. Our idea is to eventually to monetize this a little bit to pay for equipment, but other than that, we just do it for the love of the school.
That's right. You got to be, you guys maybe not as much as us because, you know, Toledo has a little bit more success on the field in football and basketball and stuff, but you got to be a real sicko to do a college football podcast for a team in the MAC. So we're right there with you guys in terms of all that. So, all right, well, let's kind of start, turn the page here a little bit and we'll start looking towards this game this weekend. But before we do that, we'll kind of narrow it down, maybe just an all-time series here. And if anyone has any questions out there for Pat about Toledo throughout his time on here or anything throughout the rest of the show, be sure to put it in the chat and the comments wherever you're watching at, and we'll read them throughout the show and at the end. So, so Toledo leads the series with Ball State all time, 27-21 and one tie. And actually, this Saturday is going to be the 50th all-time meeting. And an interesting stat I found was last season, for whatever reason, was the only time in Ball State's 50-year history in the MAC that we did not play Toledo, which I thought was interesting. Ball State is actually 2-8 in their last 10 meetings. So, Willie, I know when you were in school, you had a couple of big wins against them. And then we fell off for quite a while. So the last meeting, October of 2023, Toledo won 13-6. And if anyone remembers, I was actually at that game. I live in South Florida now, but that was like the one game I've been to in the last couple of years until recently. It was a cold, like really nasty, rainy day. It was gross. Obviously, the score kind of shows that. So, Pat, we'll kick it back to you. The state of Toledo football right now. Let's kind of look at the big picture overall. You know, is the team right now meeting the expectations you fans had set before the season, or are they below them? Kind of give me the overall view right now of where people view Toledo.
As far as from the coaching staff and the team's goals, I think they're on track. You know, obviously our huge rival is BG. We lost to them this year. And that set off a lot of negative feedback from the fans because it seems like in the last couple of years that people see we've lost a couple of games each season that we should have won. And it all, in the fans' opinions around here, it all comes down to coaching. And so as soon as we lost to BG, and then we lost to Western earlier, there was a lot of talk about, hey, fire Candle. Candle's got to go. We've always maintained, you know, he's the winningest coach and by we, I mean our podcast. We've always maintained he's the winningest coach in UT history. He is graduated all his players. He's put 3 or 4, you know, 2 or 3 people into the NFL in the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. And his players go on to be great human beings. And as far as we're concerned, if you're judging a program and a head coach, that's what you want. That's what you want. Our our outlying opinion is that maybe he should rather be a CEO than calling the offensive plays. Hire a full-time offensive coordinator. Right now we have co-offensive coordinators, and one is a lineman, the line coach, and the other is the backfield coach. And they don't have any input on the play calling really, other than, certain formations. But I think in today's day and age with the NIL, with all the coaching, necessities of a head coach, it might be to his benefit to hire an offensive coordinator just to call the plays. So we've kind of come back with that. And although we've won a few games since, there still is a little bit of that fire candle crowd out there. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be placated. I think Brian Blair, our athletic director, is fully behind Candle. And I think just so long as he keeps doing the things that he has been doing, he's not going to be fired in the middle of the season. Now, maybe they have a sit down after the season and he says, hey, you might want to get an offensive coordinator. So that's kind of the state of how it's been going this season. And like I said, the last couple of years, we've lost some games that we shouldn't have lost. We lost to Akron last year at the end of the season. And Akron was horrible last year. Mm-hmm. And we lost another game. I can't recall which one it was at this point last year as well. So I think there's a little bit of frustration in a certain fan base over that. But overall, I mean, we have good attendance. We have great support from the local community. The kids and the coaches are out dealing in the community all the time, doing things, charity work. And I think the city is fully behind, the program. So other than the few naysayers, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, you were talking about that loss to Bowling Green earlier this year, rival. It's something that no one to see. Ball State was in a very similar spot a couple weeks back, losing that game to Northern Illinois. That really has kind of derailed this season where it could have went. And unfortunately for us, we don't really probably get another crack at them anytime soon. So I feel you guys there, and that's kind of, you never want to lose to a big rival like that. Let's talk about the offense for this team. And no one here knows offense better than my man, Willie Snead here. So I know he has some questions about Toledo's offense and what maybe Ball State fans can expect this Saturday.
Sure.
Yeah, Pat. I appreciate you being on, man.
Thanks, Willie.
Awesome having you. I've always had huge respect for Toledo, even when I was in high school. I remember going to the 7-on-7 tournaments they used to have and taking those road trips in the summer. So I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for the Toledo program. But outside of football, I wanted to ask a non-football question here.
Sure.
Your stadium is known for being the Glass Bowl, correct? Where did that name originate from? Because I've always been curious, even from when I was in high school, I heard that it was named the Glass Bowl, and I was always wondering and never truly fully heard the story. Do you know where that name originated from?
Yeah, back in the day, the stadium was built in the 30s by the WPA, which was the Works Progress Administration, which was a foundation or a government entity that was putting people to work during the Great Depression. So that's why all the stone is still there, the stone towers and your lovely locker rooms you probably had to sit in, in the castle at the end of the stadium. I say lovely, being facetious, of course, because we were in there quite a bit during high school. I went to high school right down the street, and that visiting locker room is just, it's almost like a psychological thing. It's ugly and small and cramped. But the Glass Bowl originated as Toledo Municipal Stadium. I think was the first name of the stadium. And then like a year later, they changed it to the Glass Bowl. And the Glass Bowl comes from Toledo being the glass city. We were the founder. We had back in the day in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, we had tons of glass companies here. Owens, Illinois, Owens Corning, were all huge companies in the glass industry. And they thought, what better way to represent the city than calling it the Glass Bowl?
That's pretty cool, man. I had no idea. I mean, it makes sense, but I was about to say you had to have been from Toledo to actually know like the true roots of that story. So
Right.
definitely. So I got to watch you guys this year when you guys actually played Bowling Green. It was one of those televised games, and I thought you guys really showed like the true potential of your offense. You guys came out of the gate. You were strong. You ran the ball well. You converted on third downs. I really thought that game was going to go away the way you guys were coming out and playing, and then kind of like the second half, it kind of like collapsed for you guys. My question is like, what is the strength of the offense in your opinion? Because when I watched, it looked like the run game was more of what you guys lean on, because you guys have that really good back, number one. I think his name's
Chip.
Yeah. He was a transfer in, if I'm not mistaken, from one of the Power 4 schools, but he ran the ball really well. Go ahead.
Yeah. He was originally at Ohio State and then transferred to Kentucky. And then he came to us from Kentucky for his final year. So he's been around some big programs. He, excuse me, he actually scored a touchdown for Ohio State as a freshman, and to be a freshman in the rotation in the backfield of Ohio State, that's something pretty special. He didn't play a lot at Kentucky, from what I understand. I believe he was injured a little bit, and he got injured for us this year, missed a few games. But he is a huge answer to what we lacked last year. He and the name escapes me right now, but we have a transfer from a smaller school who's also at running back. And it's a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield. As far as the rest of the offense, Trainum is the kind of running back that's going to get you those tough yards that you need. He's not a big bruising back, but you get him on the outside, and if they break contain, he's gonna eat you up for 15-20 yards. Doesn't have breakaway speed, but he's very patient. He waits for the holes to open up, waits for the guards to pull. Right. And as far as the rest of the offense, Tucker Gleason is like a 9th-year senior. He's been with the program forever. Mm-hmm. He came from Florida, Tampa area, and also when he came to the program, he actually was at Georgia Tech first, and then came to the program with his high school coach, who was at Plant High School in Tampa, and he's now our quarterback's coach. Oh, wow. So he's a big guy. He's about 6'3", 6'4", 245. Kind of a pocket passer, but the wild thing is, in high school, I believe his senior year, he threw for like 2,000 yards and ran for over 1,000 yards. Wow. So he has the ability to run. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, and it's not widely held, but I think we should use him more as a running, design plays. And now Candle has thrown in a few plays throughout the year where it was a designed run. But I think you got a quarterback that size who has decent speed and ability to knock people over. I think you should use them, especially in the red zone. Our red zone offense this year is just not real strong. We get down inside the 20. We're not using our tight ends like I have always liked in the past. And I think, having a big bruising quarterback like that, you should have some more design runs. Also on the offense, you've got to take a look at Junior Vandeross at third.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a question about him, because I've noticed he's got 750 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns. I mean, he's having a pretty successful season with those numbers. I was about to say, just kind of speak on him and kind of what his role and impact has been on this Toledo offense.
For sure. He's been around the program, for 4 or 5 years, throw COVID in there. He has actually come out as kind of a team leader this year. It's basically his team. when Gleason is in a pinch, he's going to be looking for Van der Ross. It's your go-to guy. We also have a freshman named Treadway, who's just recently started to come on. And we have a couple other wide receivers that mix in. But Van der Ross is the guy. He's not a big guy, but he's fast, runs great routes, has the ability to get a little juke move in here and there and make people miss. Excuse me. But he's getting noticed from all over the country. I believe there's been 2 games this season where we've had 7 or 8 NFL scouts just to see him or Emmanuel McNeil-Warren on defense.
Wow.
But he is the team leader, which is, we kind of find it funny because he's such a diminutive guy. He's probably like 5'8", buck 60, something like that. But he's a trooper. He takes a pounding and keeps coming back at you. So we've been lucky he hasn't been too beat up in his career.
Yeah, you got to watch out for guys like that. They're just an impact player waiting to happen.
Exactly.
So my last question is going into this game, who do you expect to have a big game? I know you talked about Gleason a little bit, the quarterback, just with his mobility and just his seniority, being in the game for that long. You talked about the running back, the receiver, Van der Ross. Who do you expect to have an impact game going into this weekend?
Well, it all depends on what Ball State's defense can throw at us. Our offensive line is not one of the strongest assets of our team. They have come together this year. They're young, got a couple transfer or 2 in there. So they've kind of gelled a little bit as the season has gone along, but they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde unit. One day they're amazing, and then the next week they're, Swiss cheese, and Gleason's getting pounded. I expect Chip Trainum to have a decent game. I think we're gonna set up the pass with the run. They're gonna try and use some play action passing after they've set up the run. And I really expect to see our tight end, Peterson. Hopefully he'll have a good game. We haven't utilized him a lot, but he's got, I believe, 9 touchdowns on the year. He's not a huge guy, but he runs great routes, and he's got great hands, and also a decent blocker. I see Van der Ross, probably getting his 90 to 100, 110 yards receiving, maybe a touchdown or 2, depending on, again, what Ball State's defense throws at him. But Gleason has kind of been Jekyll and Hyde on the road, but at home he is on point. I don't know what the whole situation is with our home and away record this year, but I believe he started out at Miami hitting 7 straight passes, and that was his first, coming out game on the road. I think if our O-line can protect him, give him time to go through his progressions, he's going to be able to find the open guy and hit them. I'm not going to sit here and say Ball State's going to be an easy contest, but if everything goes right, I think we're going to be able to move the ball pretty well on offense.
For sure. I appreciate you, Pat. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Willie.
Pat, thanks for being here. It's interesting you brought up that home versus away record, because there's a very similar dynamic going on for Ball State right now as well. But what I wanted to ask was about the defense. So from my understanding, Toledo has, one of the best defenses in the MAC. The last 2 weeks, 10 sacks. I think they allow the lowest average yards per play. Can you speak a little bit about the defense and maybe who are some names to watch out for in the defense?
Sure. I believe we're ranked number 2 in the nation behind Ohio State as far as yardage per game or points per game, one of those categories. And we are number 5 in the nation in the other category, whichever it is. Unfortunately, my laptop's down, so I can't pull up the exact stats, but we are in the top 6 or 7 in almost every defensive category in the nation. Our linebacking crew is all new this year, with the exception of one who has not started until this year. That's probably the most vulnerable, I guess, unit on the defense. But then we've got Kayvon Sherman, who has come out of nowhere, and he has a ton of sacks this year. I believe he has 6 sacks on the year. We also have our defensive line has the ability to get in the backfield quicker than they look, if that makes any sense. I think at times they don't look like they're firing off the ball very quick, but at other times they're in the backfield in a heartbeat. And it's really tough to move the ball on the ground against us. I believe overall on the season, I think we are definitely under 100 yards per game rushing against us. So as a defensive unit, you've got to pick and choose. As an offensive unit for Ball State, they've got to pick and choose your battles, because our defensive backfield is the pride of the defense. You've got Emmanuel McNeil Warren. You've got a guy named Fuller. We've got 2 or 3 other guys that are going to be playing on, probably 2 guys that are going to be playing on Sunday. And Emmanuel McNeil Warren is leading the nation in pass breakups, or second in the nation in pass breakups. We have Avery Smith, who is leading the nation in interceptions. And we have a couple other guys that are very strong in the backfield. It's very tough to throw against us. And I think part of that relates back to Quinyon Mitchell in the last 5 years. He had 5 interceptions against Northern 4 years ago rather. And that kind of put us on the map as far as a place for good DBs to come. And part of the thing that most everyone on the team says, I want to go to Toledo because they develop players into NFL players. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a strong point, if you're trying to go out and get recruits. But our defensive backfield is very, very tough to throw against.
So Pat, let me ask you this, because for a while now, I feel like I've looked at Toledo kind of like the Alabama of the MAC, right? So they've got great DBs, they've got a solid defensive line. You said the weakness might be the linebackers for the defense. So how exactly obviously you want Toledo to win, but how would you recommend a team attacks the Toledo defense?
One thing I have not seen a lot of people do is run drag routes across the middle through the linebackers. The linebackers, I only said that they are probably the weakest unit on defense just because they're more of a downhill kind of attacking linebacking crew. I haven't seen them put under the gun with a lot of pass coverage, but they do move. All 3 of them that are in the regular rotation rotate, or rather, they have great sideline to sideline movement. But I would say, use your tight ends, use drag routes, and put the pressure on the linebackers. Because if you're going to try and go deep, you're going to try and run any post patterns, any stop and goes against our DBs, it's probably not going to work. They're very well coached. We have a couple of local kids that are in that rotation. I wouldn't recommend running against us unless you've got somebody that's got lightning quick moves, and top end speed, because you're not gonna run up against the middle, or run in the middle against us. You're gonna be more working on the edges. We do have rather good edge containment, but there is not a lot of opportunities to move the ball against our defense.
Yeah, from all the stats and everything you said, it seems like it's going to be a tough battle for Ball State's pretty putrid offense at most times. So, Pat, I wanted to ask, game 2:00 on Saturday in Toledo, an embarrassingly high spread for Ball State. I think we're like plus 27.5 right now, which for a conference game is just embarrassing. Really.
That's a huge number.
I know.
That's crazy to me.
So how do you see this game going this weekend? The game's at 2, let's say it's 5:30, 6:00. What's happened?
We all did our preview 2 nights ago for this game, and I was the lowest scoring prediction. I said, I believe 35 to 7 or 35 to 10, something like that. If your defense can come up with a nice, interception or get a turnover and either run it back or put them in good field position, that's where I see Ball State scoring and maybe, getting a field goal thrown in there. But a couple of other guys on the podcast were like 55-3, 42 to 6, 44 to 5, or 44 to 8, something like that, some crazy numbers. But I just think that number is super high for a conference game. And like we were talking before the show, I think when Toledo and Ball State get together, it can be almost like a rivalry where anything can happen. We've got a good history. I respect, everything. I respect all of Ball State's athletics programs. In fact, I almost went to Ball State. I was enrolled in Ball State as a senior, and then when I got down there for orientation, they changed my major to a minor, so I had to bail on them. But
this could be a whole different multiverse podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
exactly. But I think at 5:30, 6:00, I think you're going to see, I hate to say it, but you're going to see a pretty handily won game by Toledo. I don't think it's going to be a track meet, because I think if history shows us anything this season, Candle will, if we're up big at halftime, you might get to see Caleb Osborne at quarterback. And he is a redshirt sophomore who is from the Detroit area. He was Mr. Football in Michigan when he graduated. He's a great running quarterback, and he also has a cannon for an arm. He can throw on the run and pretty much pinpoint it. And I've heard a lot of people say you can compare him to a young Michael Vick, back when he was in high school or just starting out in college. I think he'll come in the second half, midway through the third or early in the third, depending on the score. And you're going to see a whole different offense at that point. So I don't know. We also have a second string quarterback, John Allen Richter, who is still in concussion protocol. And there's been a lot of talk about why isn't he in, and a lot of the fans don't know he's still in the concussion protocol. But there's even been talk about him transferring out after this season. So I think, depending on the score, depending on the situation with the defense, Caleb he's already come in the second half and scored 2 or 3 touchdowns, a couple running, couple throwing, so far this season. So it's not a big drop off, but it is a whole different kind of offense when he comes in. So, I hate to come on here and say I'm going to predict a blowout, but I think it's going to be a pretty handily won game by Toledo.
Boys, we're in a bad state of affairs if people are already planning their backups coming in this weekend.
About it.
So hey Pat, before we let you go, we appreciate you coming on here tonight and giving us an inside look. And everyone out there, if you're interested in just keeping up with all things Mac, go make sure you go and check out Pat and all of them over there on their podcast. But Pat, one more question I wanted to pose to you before we let you go here. So obviously Northern Illinois is leaving the conference here shortly. There was rumors of Ohio potentially leaving, and there's also been rumors of Toledo potentially leaving. If you have a crystal ball and you can, look 5 to 10 years in the future, where is Toledo playing their football games in what conference in maybe 5 to 10 years from now? Is it still the MAC or is it somewhere else?
Hold on, let me rub my crystal ball here for a second.
Perfect.
Well, it's a crystal water bottle, but nonetheless, I see. I don't know. In Toledo, I think would be a decent fit for the Sun Belt Conference, even though we're not geographically, in their region. I think that's a good conference where we could go to if that is indeed what the administration wants to do. I also, there's been a lot of talk about Conference USA. I don't think that's going to happen just because it's such a big conference all over the country. And I don't think the teams are really a step up for Toledo. I think the American Athletic is a possibility, something like that. Again, you've got great teams, but then there's a big drop off in that conference too, to the lower teams. And being honest, I can also see them staying in the MAC. And just being the king of the MAC. As I hate to say that or sound arrogant or anything like that, but given our record with the past 15, 20 years, we've kind of climbed that hill and put the team in that position where players want to come here, teams want to play us, the big teams don't want to play us. In the past, we had BYU and Miami of Florida into our stadium, in Colorado and Colorado State, teams like that. But a lot of bigger teams are now shying away from us. I mean, yeah, we'll go down to Ohio State and get blown out 77-10, but we'll take the $2 million check too.
We're doing that week 1 next year.
Yeah, that's going to be rough. Because we went into that Ohio State game expecting, to at least make a decent showing, but my God, it was such a talent difference. So I mean, I can't really narrow it down to one scenario, but I think the Sun Belt Conference would be a great fit. I think, secondarily, the American Conference, but it's a close battle with, I would say, the Sun Belt and staying in the MAC. We've seen Northern Illinois is going out to the Mountain West now, and their fans are livid after their loss the other night. I've seen all over message boards and on X or Twitter, or whatever, fire Hammock right now, get him out of town, as soon as possible, blah, blah, blah. So it's really a crapshoot, I think, for the athletic department to say, hey, are we going to take the money and be in a different league and not be able to compete for a year or two, or do we stay the kings of the MAC and just keep building from there? Really, honestly, I can't make that call.
Well, you got to get a better crystal ball then.
I know. I just got the crystal water bottle. So I left my crystal ball at work. I'll have to bring it home next time.
All right, perfect. All right. Well, Pat, we appreciate you jumping off this tonight and giving us an inside look at Toledo. So everyone out there, again, that's the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad, their podcast. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube, wherever, and go check them out if you want to keep up with all things Toledo. So, Pat, we appreciate you, and best of luck the rest of the season, except for this Saturday.
Absolutely. I get it. But thank you guys so much for having me on. And, no matter what happens on Saturday, I really appreciate Ball State, and I really appreciate you guys reaching out and giving us a chance to inform you guys.
Perfect.
But anyway, You all have a great night, and good luck for the rest of the season.
All right. Thanks,
Right.
Pat. Have a good one.
Thanks,
All
Pat.
right. Bye now.
Yeah. All right, guys. That was Pat from the Midnight Blue and Gold Launchpad. They're a fellow member of the College Huddle, just like Ball State of the Union. So be sure to go out and support them if you have any reason to keep up with Toledo. So, guys, I did not like what I heard there. I did not like what I heard there. Not that they gave us any incorrect information. It's just I think he has correct information, and I don't think this is going to be good this weekend. I mean, they're already figuring out which backup player is going to come in, and I don't like that. I don't like that, and that's not their fault. That's just I think the state. Did you guys hear anything from Pat that makes you think this could be an upset this weekend? Colin, I'll start with you. We'll obviously get to our more in-depth predictions here at the end of the show, but just quickly from what Pat said, did you like anything from a Ball State perspective?
Not really, John. Like all of our weaknesses kind of play into their strengths. So like their D line is super strong. They got 10 sacks last 2 weeks. We give up the most sacks in the MAC. So that right there is trouble. Pat just told us you cannot run the ball up the middle on these guys. And all we do is pretty much run the ball. I mean, yeah, we'll try like a pop pass to the outside, something like that, but man, guys, we're in trouble. It's literally all of our strengths line up with all of what we do lines up with their strengths. So I think it's not a good matchup for us, unfortunately. And I think it spelled trouble listening to what Pat said.
Willie, please tell me your football eyes have seen something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, they're pretty high on their horse right now, talking like that. I mean, you gotta give them credit, man. They've earned it. They're bowl eligible, 6-4. You know, they're playing for possibly a MAC championship, but you know, you still gotta play the game on Saturday, right? Like you never know what happens. Like, and you said it too, John. Like the teams we play, Ball State and Toledo, anything can happen, right? Like we expect Toledo to come out and, you know, do their thing and us struggle like we've done in the past, especially being on the road. We haven't won a road game yet. It's hard to see any light in the tunnel for sure. After that conversation, that was a hard pill to swallow just to listen to all that. Because, you know, when we were playing, I mean, Toledo was always tough, right? But it's like, you know, you go into those games thinking like, you know, you always have a chance, right? But it's just like, you know, with the Ball State team we have right now, and like Colin said, like most of our strengths line up with, you know, what they do best. So, you know, it's not looking too good right now, especially after that conversation with Pat. He did a pretty good job. But yeah, John, it's tough to see right now, right?
Yeah. We'll get to our predictions at the end of the show, our official ones. But anyone out there listening, be sure to get in your questions, your comments, what you think, your score predictions, whatever you got for us. Throw it in the comments wherever you're watching at, and we will get to those at the end of the show. Colin has one other thing he wants to add to that before I move on.
If I'm trying to dive very deep and find a positive, I think my positive would be maybe Nate Voris can get a sack or two this upcoming weekend with Tucker Gleason throwing it around. I don't know how fast, like, if they've got a QB that holds on to it a lot, kind of like Parker Navarro, or if they've got somebody that's just a quick thrower like Noah Kim. But hopefully Tucker Gleason holds that ball for a while and we can get a couple sacks there. The spread, John, that 27.5 or 28.5, whatever it is, like, I'm not going to predict us to win today, but that's crazy. That's crazy. I just saw UMass was not favored. That'd be crazy. I saw Ohio was favored against UMass by 33.5 points. Just a wild number, and they didn't cover that. So I think sometimes Vegas is just like, well, shoot, like we're just going to throw a big number out there to see if anybody bites. But yeah, I think it'll be closer than that. But just the 27.5 just does not seem realistic to me.
It's disrespectful.
It could be.
Yeah, I think when it first came out, it was 22, and it's jumped up a bunch. So, okay, I got a little bit of news here before we got a couple discussion points to do as well. So, one thing I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, if you haven't seen this already, Colin, you might have, Willie. I don't know if you would have seen this yet, but there is a running back in Indiana who's doing some pretty special stuff, a high school running back. And I don't talk about high school, people on the show very often. I wait until they're actually signed with Ball State or on the team or whatever. But this is something pretty special I wanted to bring up for one main reason here. So if you haven't, this is Miles McLaughlin, a Knox County Community High Schooler. This weekend, guys, last week, he set the record for touchdowns in a season with 71 touchdowns and 4,768 yards. And he's just shy, like 350 rushing yards shy of Derrick Henry's all-time high school, rushing record, basically for the entire country. So why do I bring this up, you ask? Well, there's one main reason why I bring this up. Just a week before, Miles was talking with our guy, Coach U. So it appears Ball State has offered the all-time single-season high school rushing touchdowns and yards in the season, I guess. So this is not actually something new for Ball State. Ball State has a little bit of a history actually in these past 5-6 years of these big, crazy stat running backs in the state of Indiana. Carson Steele being one of them. Obviously, he played at Ball State. UCLA is now with the Chiefs. Spiegel, I can't remember, Charlie Spiegel, I believe is his name. He played at Indiana first, but he was at Ball State the last couple of years. These guys have crazy, crazy seasons like Miles is here. And Coach U and Ball State has offered him. So, guys, that's mainly the reason why I want to bring this up. What do you think of 71 touchdowns in a season, Willie?
Ridiculous. That is so cool to see because it's like you're comparing it to the Derrick Henry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about Indiana football. I think Derrick Henry played down in Jacksonville in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It's two different styles of ball, but credit this kid, man. He's a stud, and it's awesome that Ball State gave him the offer. I don't know if he's gonna be committing to Ball State because that's huge news, and I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of colleges banging on his door. But you love seeing stories like this, man, because it's like at the end of the day, you want to be able to accomplish something that people can remember, and this kid is about to do that. So it's pretty cool to see. I like this.
Colin's shaking his head. What's wrong, Colin?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head. No, Willie said there's going to be a lot of colleges calling and knocking on this kid's door. Unfortunately, and Willie, I love Indiana ball. I know you started off as a Florida boy, and the level of competition in Florida is so much higher, so much so that, when you went to Michigan, some of the teams that were looking at you while you were at Florida were like, nah, we're good. Now, I coached 5A in South Bend. I coach 5A ball. This guy here is 3A, which I don't want to poo-poo at 3A. There's some 4A teams and probably some 3A teams that will smack us around, right? But the level of competition that he's playing against is why Ball State is the only school D1 FBS that's offered him so far. I think there might be some more Conference USA teams throw their hat in the ring, something like that, but he's not going to get an IU offer. He's not going to get a Notre Dame offer because that level of competition that he's playing against is so low. And I don't want to be a wet blanket here because, my God, I hope he comes to Ball State and I hope he balls out for us. I hope he's the next Derrick Henry. But with everything taken into consideration, I just don't know. Not only is there a jump when you go from 3A to 5A to 6A, but there's a jump when you go from 6A to FCS, but then 3A to FBS. Honestly, guys, I don't know if he is going to be an impact player for us. I'm trying to think we got some. I'm just thinking the players we already have at linebacker, right? I'll give you a guy that loves the show, Scott Simborski. His son, Lucas Simborski, played I think 5A or 6A ball. Do we think this kid can run over Lucas Simborski? I genuinely don't. You know what I mean? I have a kid that's a running back for me right now that's 5A that man, I would love to get him at Ball State. You know what I mean? He's a baller. He does everything for us, offense, defense, special teams, you name it. But I'm looking at the height of these two guys here, and Coach U's not a very big guy. And Willie, I know you're kind of a smaller guy too. It's not the size of the dog, it's the heart of the dog. But just optics alone, I'm looking at this and I'm this might not be as great as we're hoping. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes to Ball State. If he ever sees this, Miles, no disrespect, but I'm not so sure. I'm not sold on this guy that he's going to come in, be an impact player for us. I hope I'm wrong. But just the level of comp kind of makes me think that's why nobody else is offering him. And we're the first team to really give him a shot. And I hope he takes it. And I hope he remembers we're the first team to do that. But it's a little more nuanced than dang, this kid's a dog. He is a dog at that comp, but is he going to come up and be a dog for us too? That's the question.
So you're saying he wouldn't be a dog on y'all 5A team?
No, he'll be a dog for sure. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think he'd be as good. I don't think he'd be as good for us at 5A as he is there, because like I think he's at Knox, which is a 3A school. Brother, we're playing Penn. We're playing like St. Joe. These are two teams that like met at the end of the year that were 10-0. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
and St. Joe might even be a 4A, 5A. But I'm just saying, like,
John, you gotta
Okay,
pull
there's
up
so
the-
many different teams he'd have to play.
I get that. I get that for
We're
sure.
We're playing
And
Marcus Freeman's.
I don't think
We're playing-
anyone is. I don't think anyone's saying he's going to score 71 touchdowns and have 5,000 rushing yards if he was playing in 5A. But he has 71 touchdowns and 5,000. So what's he have? 20 touchdowns and 2,000 yards? Like what's the difference here? Because we saw something similar to this with Carson Steele, a name I said earlier. Now, obviously, he was playing in 6A at Center Grove, but again, he was Mr. Football, and no one he had no Division I offers besides Ball State. Now, he's obviously went on to have a great career. Again, I understand the difference in the classes, but like, I think the whole point I brought this up was 71 touchdowns in a season is insane, no matter what level of football you're playing at.
Crazy.
And I would hope that it translates at some level. So
even Kelvin Taylor down in Florida, he was probably one of the best running backs to ever play, because he broke Emmitt Smith's high school record, and that was like for 10,000 yards. I think this one's just in the season, but for their whole career. And Kelvin played in like 1A football, and that's like the lowest level you can play, and he's still putting up 10,000 yards. They still saying he's one of the best running backs in high. So it's not really like, yes, I hear what you're saying, Colin. The level is bigger, right? Bigger linemen, bigger players, right? And then lower level is smaller guys, right? But you, like John's saying, you still got to put up the numbers, and the numbers are crazy. Like in one season,
real quick though. In response, guys, you brought up Carson Steele at Center Grove. Center Grove is 6A.
I
you know what I mean? Like I know
there.
that he still has to he still has to score 71 touchdowns. But like what I'm hearing like from other people that I've watched is like they're running him out of like quarterback sometime, like Wildcat. They just snap it to the dude and he takes off and like
that's fine.
I'm at 5A, right? And I'm telling you guys, like some kids that are starting at 5A are still not very good. You know what I mean? So then you got to take it all the way like 5A in Indiana. Then you take it all the way to 3A. Imagine some of the dudes he's lining up against, bro. Like we just got to be real. Like I want him to succeed, but like I'm in the press box for 5A games, watching the other team. I'm like, attack him. You know what I mean? Like attack this dude. He don't know what he's doing. There's a bunch of people like that already at 5A. Then imagine he's at 3A. Like, and I don't want to be the pessimist. I want this kid to come to Ball State, ball out. But like, I'm like, man, like the people he's going against there, like I don't know. Like I'm thinking about my 5A running back. I'm like, damn, if this kid at this size can do it, like I'm imagining my running back on his team. Like, bro, he'll have 3,000. Like, you guys think I'm capping, but NIC Player of the Week multiple times. Like, bro, I'm telling you, there's a big difference between 3A and 6A. Like, we can't just compare him to Carson Steele. Now, I hope I'm wrong.
It should make it even more like respectable because he is on a lower level and he's putting up crazy numbers. Like, you got to think, if he was in 6A, like, you can't say that he's not going to put up similar numbers, like, just because it's like 3-letter grades up. Like, this kid is a stud. Like, he's going to put up stupid numbers. Maybe not 71 touchdowns, but like, he might get 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing it at a lower level and he's like making it known, like, he's not supposed to be on this level, right?
And that was like Charlie Spiegel when he's at New Pal. I think New Pal was like a 3A school when he started, and they have in Indiana now where if you win at so much at every level, you keep moving up. Well, I think New Pal's like a 5A school now, basically just because he was on the team there. So, yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested to see. I'm glad Ball State offered him again. Same thing with Carson Steele. I know we're talking the difference in class. Cool.
Yeah, Ball
State was the only school to offer him. So if this ends up being the only school that offers him, and we give him a chance, I'm excited for it, and we'll see what happens with him. So, I like the prospect talk. Maybe we'll do some more prospect talk.
You got to drop some tape because I
like that.
I got to see what these Indiana players look like.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting.
Like a 3A team has less than like 1,000 kids in the whole building to choose
Mhm.
from, and half of them are girls. So you really only got like 400 to 500 kids to pick from, and some of them are like they're not in shape, or like they're drama, they like being in choir or band, or so like the amount of kids you can even field a team with is low. You know what I'm saying? Like
Now let me ask you this.
there's
Let me
so
ask you
many
this
things that's
question,
probably
Colin.
got like one game he might have had 10 touchdowns. Like I really don't know, but like I'm saying, like I got a lot of
No,
questions about this. You know what I
let me
mean?
ask
Like
you a
I'm not
question.
sold yet.
Let me ask you this question then. Okay. So he could. What if he's just a diamond in the rough? What if Willie Snead went to Knox High School? I mean, obviously, Willie ended up being an NFL player for a decade plus. Like, it doesn't. I'm not saying this guy's going to go to the NFL or anything like that. Obviously, you could see in the picture he's a pretty small guy, but just because you go to a small school doesn't mean you can't be a great player.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Agreed. And you
Yeah.
still offer him. Like I
Correct.
don't want to be like, oh, don't offer kid. Still offer him, but I just want to pump the brakes a little bit. Is he gonna be as good as like we got Derrick Henry on film talking about this kid, like
Yeah.
for like 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to buy in too much to the hype because like I get excited about my team. You know what I mean? And like when I get excited, then that cliff comes, you know, and so I just want to be like reasonable about it. Like he might be a dog, but we got to see. We got to see
He
I love
hasn't
it.
at this
committed
level.
yet, so there's nothing to
Yeah.
get excited about. He
Right.
just
That's why I was hesitant to even bring this up, because I don't like to bring up
Right.
guys who aren't on Ball State's team yet.
yeah.
But I figured I had to do it. We saw Coach U. That picture with Coach U, I think, had like 2 million views or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I did see that picture actually. It was like last week, right? When they
Yeah, sometime last week. So Coach U's getting viral here. So
shout out to Coach U.
all right, guys, I got another discussion point here. This is football, semi-football related. So I'll put up a couple pictures here from a few things that I've seen recently, and it's something noticeably absent. I know Sidelines was talking about this. I was talking about it a little bit. Something that Ball State has noticeably not done, but other schools are doing right now. I got 3 different things I'm going to pull up here. So number 1, we'll start calling with your friends at Kent State. I believe this week the first 1,000 students get a blanket. You come to the game, your first 1,000 students, you get a blanket. If you bring a canned food item, you get an old giveaway item. Okay, that's the first one. The second one, Willie, your guy, Coach Limbo, the Buffalo Bulls, a meat raffle. Colin, look away. I know you don't eat meat, but you can join a meat raffle. If you get tickets at the game, you can win some meat. You can do some fun stuff. And then lastly, our friend Vanzi from Eastern Michigan last week, his season ticket holder, he got like an Eagle Lego basically for being a season ticket holder. He got a little present for being a season ticket holder for Eastern Michigan. So why do I bring this up? Ball State does not really seem to do too much in terms of giveaways or things that incentivize fans to come to the game outside of, you know, a great atmosphere and a great time out with the family. So my question to you guys, and Colin, I'll start with you because I know this is something that I think you'll get pretty passionate about. What are some things or items that Ball State could do for giveaways for next year? Obviously, the last game at Schumann Stadium has come and gone last week against Eastern Michigan, but for next year or in the future, what is something that they could do or give away? Because it's not something they do very often. So, Colin, I'll give you the floor here now. Hit me with some ideas.
So while I was formulating my list for this, John did give me a heads up in advance. I reached out to Sidelines to ask him, when was the last time we actually gave away anything to the fans that came? Sideline said last year there was one game where we gave away T-shirts to fans. All right, now T-shirts, blankets, we've kind of gone over that. I think the blanket is a really cool idea because honestly, I don't know where I'd buy a Ball State blanket right now. I don't know where to purchase that. It's not on eBay, so I really like that idea. The T-shirt, fine, whatever. But some of the ideas I came up with that I really loved, a free drink ticket.
Okay.
First 1,000 people that come in get a free drink ticket. People love beer. $1 beer night, $2 beer nights. That's something that like you don't even have to physically give anyone anything. Here's a ticket. Go take that to the concessions. Your first drink is on me.
Now,
I
Colin.
like that.
Now, Colin, hold on one
thing-
second. 1 second. Ball State does that sometimes. If you see on the basketball side, Coach Michael Lewis, have you ever seen this? He'll give the first maybe 100 students who show up at the Nest for basketball games, he'll give them a voucher for either like a free drink, like you said, a hot dog, a piece of pizza, something like that. So shout out to Coach Lewis. He does something similar to that, but I think if you do it at the football games, it'd obviously be on a much bigger scale. But I like that idea.
Okay. Now then, some of the more standard stuff that you could do that would be pretty cheap. A foam finger. Who doesn't love a foam finger? Stick it up on the back wall. A rally towel. I don't know if we've ever had that, like how the Steelers have the
terrible towel.
that yellow one. Like we don't have anything like that. The terrible towel. Another thing that would be cool, and I mean, you might have to have a player worthy of this, but a bobblehead. I don't remember the last time we got a bobblehead from something like, I don't know if they want to put Keon on for senior night or something like that, but that's a great idea. Someone that gave their all to Ball State since 2020, have a, like a senior night item with any one senior, maybe give it to the parents too, so they have a collectible that they can keep for a while. I think people would like that as well. One thing I noticed when we saw a Kent State guy come on, he had Kent State like shirt, like a button up that they gave him, a Kent State chain that they gave him. And that's one thing, John, me and you saw this at the TIS or the bookstore, whatever they call it now.
Game Day Spirit.
The BSU chain. Yeah, Game Day Spirit. They have a big red Ball State chain with the actual logo as like it's really like foam. I think they're like $13.99 or something like that. So that might be something at like the upper end of like kind of expensive that they're doing, because a beer's only $8, that you buy there. And a drink ticket, they probably pay less than that if they're selling it for that. Now, finally, some other ideas I had. One that would be really cheap: thunder sticks. Sometimes it's too quiet in the in the stadium. There's not like a ton of people in there on a midweek action. Hand out some thunder sticks to make it loud. Something like that I would go crazy with. And finally, my last idea for a giveaway for Ball State. What if we did a free item at Papa John's or Chick-fil-A, something like that? Maybe Papa John's, though, because he went here. If Ball State gets a turnover, or if Ball State scores 24, go to your Papa John's, you get a pizza for $5, or you get a pizza, and then the breadsticks are free, or something, like a promotion on that level, I think would even be nice. And some of these you can do multiple. You know what I mean? Like everybody at the game can get a free item at Papa John's. It's not like only the first 1,000 can do that. Everybody can get a drink ticket. Like some of this is like really easy and simple, but it's like, do they want to spend the money? And are they having these conversations that we're having now? That's what I really wonder. Like, is someone asleep at the wheel? Because sometimes it feels like that,
Yeah, and the last thing you mentioned about the coupons or whatever different places, people do that a lot. Ball State, or excuse me, the Pacers do that with Penn Station. If they win, get buy one get one free sub the next day, something along those lines. You can do a local sponsor in town, so I like that. I got a couple ideas as well. A couple you hit on, but I'll kind of reiterate a little bit. Bobbleheads, like you said. Again, I think the last one we did was 20 years ago, maybe, and it was a Charlie Cardinal one. I would love to see some players. I don't know if we've ever had players, a Willie Snead one, a Keith Winning, a Nate Davis, some of the greats that have played at Ball State, and maybe even do it throughout the year. Maybe you have like mini bobbleheads instead of big ones, and you maybe have 3 or 4 throughout the year, and you have them for different games, incentivize people to come to different games. You talk about foam fingers. They had one of these a while back, but I'd like to see them come back again. It was a foam finger, but it was like you chirping. So it was like, instead of it just being a finger, it was like the chirp, which was fun. So maybe they bring those back. And then my favorite idea personally as a giveaway, one thing that's made a big resurgence since COVID has been trading cards, football cards, basketball cards, Pokemon cards, all kinds of cards like that. And one big new thing with those, and Willie, you have some insight on this because I know obviously you've signed a lot of cards throughout your years as a player. Have it be like a trading card team set almost, but not just one where you go and buy it and you just get the whole thing. You buy packs of them basically, or they give away packs of them. And inside it, they'll have maybe an autograph card, like a Kyle Kelly autograph card, or they'll do cards that are numbered out of a certain thing. So like there might be a 1-of-1 card or out of 5 or something like that. And so you can kind of collect stuff a little bit. It'd be kind of a fun thing that I haven't really seen anybody do in terms of like teams, really. It's all just the big companies do it. So it might be something fun. We've all seen bobbleheads, we've all seen foam fingers, we've all seen that. This is the one kind of unique thing that I have not seen anybody else do yet, aside from Tops and Upper Deck and those companies that do that. So Willie, what do you think about this? You haven't spent tons of time going to games as fans. Usually you're on the field, but if you were to take your kids to a game or you were going to go to a game, what's maybe a giveaway item that you think people might get excited for?
Yeah, I like all the ideas you guys have been saying. I think one would be cool is like when we're having like those whiteout games or like blackout games, is that like they put the t-shirts in the seats, or they give
Mhm.
the t-shirts out when they get into the stadium, right? So that they're all wearing the same thing and it actually looks like a full whiteout or a red out or whatever the case may be. That's one idea. I think another idea for the seniors, like Colin said, I think it would be awesome to put like a couple seniors on like a big cup,
Oh,
and
okay.
like they can either, if they purchase the cup, right, they get free refills with it. Like it's a specific cup, and if you get the specific, I know they did this at some of the parks at Universal, but if you like purchase this certain cup, you can go anywhere in the park and get a free refill with this cup. So I was thinking like you put the seniors like Magwood, you put a couple other seniors like uh, Vorez, you put those guys on the cup, right? Those actual action shots. And I think that was cool. They did that with the Saints a couple of times. I got on the cup, and we just like my mom just took like 10 cups with us because it's like, those
Humble brag. You're on a cup.
you feel me? Like it's like one of those memorable, memorabilia that you could take home. You can use it forever. Another thing is like for family weekend, like you can do like each kid, like each family has a kid, and the kid can get like a ticket or a coupon, and they eat free. Kids eat free. Right. I think that'd be awesome. And it's just with all these giveaways, it's just you want to be able to find another way to bring the crowd out, right? If it's like another perk that they can use or they can, enjoy while they're watching the game. And I think the $2 bills was $2 beers is an awesome idea. Like a couple things like that, just off the top of my head. I think the kids eat free would be awesome. I think a lot of people would come out for that. And then I like the cups. Like you shout out, like it can even be every home game, you get this size cup and it has a different senior on the cup every time. Right. I think that'd be dope because it's like you got these families, you got teammates that, you can always use this cup. It's like an everyday cup. Like my mom, I probably find it right now and I can have the Saints cup from like years ago, right? And I still have it with me to this day. I think those are kind of like cool giveaways that they're not so expensive, right? They're not stupid expensive where you're just spending a whole bunch of money, you're not getting the most out of it. But I think like you guys put some great ideas out there. It's just trying to get those fans out, for another reason other than just to be out there supporting Ball State football.
And what I showed with Vanzi, not necessarily that item, but it being a season ticket holder giveaway. If there's any season ticket holders in the chat, let me know. Do we do any sort of gift like that? I think there is one for the Cardinal Varsity Club. I think you get one if you're at a certain level, but I don't know if just straight up season ticket holders get gifts like that. And that might be, something fun too, and make it something good. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but maybe make it something pretty cool.
Right.
The blankets for Kent State sound expensive.
Yeah.
Like
well, they're only doing 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
So they might be expensive.
These blankets,
they could be a little expensive. And then another idea I had as well, that's just an idea. And I know they've done this before with the students, trying to incentivize students to go there. But, I think it should just be for anybody. They should have almost maybe some sort of app where you can scan in at certain locations and you get perks just as any fan. So not just students. So I know, for instance, Willie and I live down in South Florida. The Miami Marlins do something similar to this. It's an incentive program to get you to go to more games. If you go to a certain amount of games and you scan in, maybe the next time you come, you get a free hot dog. And the next time you come, maybe you get an extra ticket. Like you get extra things for the more times you go. And so maybe finding a way to broaden that out from just the students and just everyone in general, it might incentivize some people to come more often. And I think people should be going to as often as you can, because with how crazy everything is price-wise in the world today, Ball State football and going to Ball State sporting events really has not gotten too crazy out of price yet. I still think you can go for $20 basically. I still think it's a great deal, but if you want to incentivize people, get more and more people to go, these are just maybe some ideas to kind of help get a couple other people. Everyone likes free stuff or feeling like they're getting a good deal on something. So the more you do that, the more I think people will show up. So, all right. I think we got some good ones. If anyone if we see autographed serial numbered cards next year, I want a set of them. I think that's my idea. I'm stealing it here. So, all right. If anyone's got any last questions, we're gonna jump into 3 chirps here. So get them in here. We got some good ones, boys. The our debate over Miles McLaughlin's got the chat split here, so we're going to get to that. We're going to get to all those in a minute. But all right, 3 chirps. Okay, Willie, I'll start with you for your 3 chirps. What are your 3 chirps for this game against Toledo on Saturday?
All right, so here are my 3 chirps to beating Toledo, right, to get the dub. We got to be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We got to come into this game ready to be able to run the rock. Like, we can't just come out and just establish that we can't run the ball and we're going to be one-dimensional all game. We got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And that goes for defense too. Defensively, we got to be able to be stout up front, and we got to make these guys one-dimensional. If they can come in, if they think that they can come in and just run all over us all game, it's going to be a long game. So we got to be able to establish both sides of the ball in the trenches, got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. Number 2 is we got to be great on third down. Offensively, we have struggled on third down all year, just keeping our defense off the field. I'm going to continue to harp on it because it's essential to getting a dub this weekend. We got to be able to convert on third down. We got to be able to be in third and manageable. We can't be behind the sticks. We got to be in 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s, 3rd and shorts to be able to keep ourselves in the game. And then we got to convert. We haven't been able to convert, and when we don't convert, we come up with short drives, and the defense is on the field way too long, and we know what happens after that. So we got to be able to convert on third down. We got to be great on third down, and even defensively, we got to get them off the field and give our offense as many opportunities as they can, because we don't know how many it's going to take for us to score. So we got to be great every time we can on third down on defense, just to get them stopped and get them off the field. And then number 3 is win the turnover battle, right? Kyle Kelly has to protect the ball this weekend. He cannot put the ball out in harm's way. Nobody can that's a ball carrier for the offense. We got to be able to protect the rock. We can't give them free possessions, short fields, stuff like that. We got to be able to protect the rock, make sure that, we keep it and we take it away. And on defense, they've been able to get a pick every week for the past 4 or 5 weeks. That's been awesome to see. Just want to see them continue to do that, possibly get a strip sack by Nathan Vorez this weekend. I'm calling that a little strip sack to get us a short field. But the DBs have been awesome, but they have a great challenge this weekend going against Vander Ross. He's a stud. He's a dude. They got a good receiver room, so it's going to be a great challenge for our secondary to be able to keep these guys at bay for the most part and create a turnover in the process. So those are my 3 chirps right there. I think if we're able to control the line of scrimmage, be great on third down, and win the turnover battle, I think it'll be a closer game than people expect, guys. Honestly, like I never want to. I'm a realist, to know that Toledo is the better team, but I also don't want to not show like I don't have any hope for our Cardinals, because I always will until we kick off the ball and the clock says zeros, and it is what it is. So those are my 3 chirps, guys.
Okay, I like it. All right, Colin. Ball State football talk. Your 3 chirps for this week are?
First, shout out to Willie, because those are really good. You mentioned the wide receiver room. One person we haven't talked about yet, even Pat, Trayvon Rudolph, the transfer wide receiver from NIU last year that was going nuts, and now he's on Toledo. I think he's only got like 350 yards or 400 yards, but that wide receiver room is crazy deep.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful. Those were great chirps. My 3 chirps. And this is how this whole day was going. John was like, get some giveaway ideas, have your 3 chirps ready. I wrote down my first chirp, and I'm like doing research on Toledo, trying to figure out like, how do we attack these dudes? Honestly, I had to turn to some Toledo dudes and ask them like, how do we attack these dudes? So 1, this is what I had even before I hit up my Toledo friends. The offense has to start fast. You heard it when Pat was speaking earlier. He said, we're going to try to get out early and then get our backup in the second half, right? Can't happen. We got to show a little pride. We got to start fast. Too often, we're starting slow, and then eventually the defense keeps us hanging around, and then boom, then the offense goes. But no, this week, if we don't start fast, Toledo's down our throat, and they'll put their foot on our neck. You know what I mean? So we got to be ready. Now, 2, these last 2 chirps, John and Willie, these are coming straight from the Toledo fan mouth. So, okay. Number 2, attack Coach Candle, attack the coaching and Tucker Gleason's decision making. So apparently, like, when even Pat said he's hot or cold, he's either on or he's off. Let's make him uncomfortable. Let's make the QB, make some mistakes out there. Attacking the coaching, I'm not really sure how exactly, other than like putting them in predicaments that your players do naturally. I'm not really sure how you can go in the game saying like, I'm gonna attack Jason Candle. Like, hopefully he makes some mistakes, i.e. Mark Carney on our Kent State game. But I'm not. I mean, he's been coaching a lot longer as a head coach than Mark Carney, so I'm not so sure he's gonna make those same mistakes. Third and finally, Toledo has no answer for trick plays, for random trick plays, apparently. So I am requesting on my third chirp 3 trick plays during the game. Third
3.
and final
I like
chirp.
it. I don't know how well
3.
those will be executed, but okay, I like it. I like it. All right, my 3 chirps. Okay. We've been talking for a while now. We had this 4-game stretch coming up, and we had to take advantage of it. And maybe we didn't. We definitely didn't take advantage of it as much as we wanted to. So we find ourselves now sitting at 6 losses. So this is your last chance. This is our last chance to keep these postseason goals alive. You know, we thought we could get through that 4-game stretch and lock this thing up. We didn't. We went 2-2. So if this is going to happen, if they're going to salvage this season and go to a bowl game, they can't drop this. And obviously they're huge underdogs in this game. So this is your last chance. Like there's no looking back. If they drop this game, you know, the postseason stuff's out the window and it's on to just trying to win that trophy against Miami of Ohio. So if we still want to make it to a bowl game, your last chance, you got to figure out a way to come out with a win. Number 2, I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm just going to throw it out there though. The offense needs to just find its footing. That's as simple as I can make it. Something drastically is going to have to change for them to be able to get in this game, because not only does the offense struggle against any defense, now they're going to be going against one of the best defenses in the entire country. And this is just smells like recipe for disaster here. And so you just got to figure it out. I have no answers for you. And I'm sure if I did, it's something that they would have already thought of, but you got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And my last one, and I'm with Willie on this one, you know, it doesn't look good. But I don't want to count these guys out too much. I want to see a fight out of them. I don't want them to give up. That's my third chirp. Do not give up. You know, if this first half goes poorly, I don't want them to just pack it in and kind of just wave the white flag, which it felt like they kind of did against Western Michigan. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see that this weekend. You know, if you go into halftime and it's 28-0 or something like that, I want to see some fight out of them. I want to see some fight and see who's going to be proud to wear that cardinal on their helmet. So last chance. That's your last chance to get it done this weekend. The offense needs to figure something out dramatically, and do not give up. So that is my 3 chirps for this game. Predictions. Ball State is plus 27.5 as of this live stream, and the over-under is 47.5, which is less than the over-under last week against Eastern Michigan. Colin, I'll start with you. Your predictions for this Saturday.
So I want to give a little bit of respect to the defense. I don't think the defense is just going to roll over. We got some dogs out there that I really, really respect. So I'm going to say the score is 27-13. Ball State loses.
Okay, 27-13 Ball State loses. Okay, Willie.
Are we allowed to say Ball State loses on the Ball State pod?
I kind of did.
I've done it once
week.
Before against Auburn.
I kind of did last week.
I feel shitty about it. Yeah, no, I remember you put that out there. Yeah, I mean, the spread is what it is. The over-under is what it is. I think, honestly, I think Toledo is going to come out and try to, throw haymakers all game. I think they connect with half of them, but I think we respond offensively as well. I don't know if we do good enough to get the dub, but we make it close. So I'm going to do 35-21 Ball State loses.
Okay. I'm going 34-10. I think we find a way to cover this spread. I think 27.5 in a conference game is embarrassing, and everyone in that building should be pissed off that that's what the spread of this game is. This is a conference team. This is not like we're playing Ohio State or Oklahoma or something like that. This is someone in our conference, and people are out there telling you, you are 28 points less than a team in your own conference. That should piss them off. I don't think that they're going to end up winning this game, but I think they better figure out a way to make sure that Toledo does not cover that spread. So
I'll say this, John and Colin. Yeah. If I was in that Ball State locker room and I was getting ready to play this game, I see what I have on the table, and I see we got 2 games left to be bowl eligible. Mm-hmm. And I see 2 teams in our way. and I forget everything that's happened this year, and I look to these next 2 games because these are the most important games ever, especially to the seniors,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I say the score is what it is because that's what it shows, and they haven't shown us anything. But if I was a player in that locker room, I wouldn't be listening to none of this, and I would come out there on Saturday with my hair on fire, ready to give Toledo everything that they can handle because obviously they've lost games. They've lost games that they should have won, right? And I think Ball State can go in there and do what they need to do to get one more game closer to bowl eligible, right? Because that's where they're at right now. It's not like they're not playing for nothing, right? We haven't mentioned it on this pod today, but they are playing for something. They have everything that they want in front of them, right? And are they about to go ahead and come out here and handle their business? Because, like I said, if I was a player in that locker room, I have enough to play for where I'm gonna go out there and put my best brand of football I have this season. And those guys have that opportunity. So I just want to say that because at the end of the day, those guys got to go out there. They got to lace them up. They got to put the helmets on. And they know that they got 2 games to be bowl eligible and they can play one more game after the season. That's what they have in front of them. And like you said, John, don't go out there and roll over for these guys, right? Go out there and show some fight, show some dog in you, and go get these 2 wins because then you could be bowl eligible and you could salvage a season that, we really didn't know what the season was going to look like, right? I think if we, at this point in the season, we can be like, we did okay. But if we are able to do what we can do these next 2 games, I think that's a successful season, even though we're at 6-6. So those are my little 2 cents right there after the predictions. Go ahead.
Willie, what worries me, I agree 100% with what you said. Like, they got to have a little pride,
Right.
But what worries me, Willie, is I was at the Eastern Michigan game, and first 3 quarters, I'm sitting front row on the 50-yard line, right behind the bench. 4th quarter, I go up and sit in the parent section. Now, I do believe there's players on this team that really care about Ball State, like blood, sweat, tears, die for this team. You know what I mean? But there's some players now, if I'm being completely honest, I'm watching the game and we're down 24-9, and there's some players on the sideline laughing. You know what I mean? And like, I don't want to say you can't have fun playing football because you certainly can. But when we got people like Keon, we got people like Kyle Kelly, we got people like Nate Vorez, leaving it all out there for us. And like, you can say whatever you want about maybe Kelly's not playing the greatest, but he's trying. I just don't like to see that and then see players have to get on those other players because then our seniors have to step up and be like, hey, we're not doing this. It's not fun in games when you're losing like that. You know what I mean? So my question is really like, is the whole team going to bring it? Does the whole team care? Because I'll tell you right now, guys, like if Willie told me you could shoot yourself in the foot and Ball State would go bowling this year, I'll do it in a heartbeat. But I can't care more than the players on the team. You know what I mean? I just can't. So like, we got to make sure everybody's locked in. It can't just be Keon, Nate, Kyle, Joey Stemler, whoever is really our leaders, like Darren Conley. It can't just be them. Everybody's got to rally. Everybody's got to be on the same page. So that's what I'm worried. Like, they might not be really like that. That's where I'm at right now. It's like, I'm concerned not everybody is that bought in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know. Like, after I saw that, like, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, a little kiki and haha. I mean, I feel you. But at the end of the day, that's why I say you forget everything that's happened in the past. That happened last week. You know what I'm saying? This is a new week, and hopefully they saw that. Hopefully they respond to that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like you got a lot of young guys that are immature on football teams. On the high school level, on the college level, you just got guys that don't get it. And those guys won't be playing, obviously. They'll be stuck on the sideline for 5 years. But those guys that are going to be in the game and that it matters to, those are the guys we're talking to, right? Like, those are the guys that matter. And it doesn't take everybody you only need 11 dogs out there every play, right? And then you got your reserve guys. But I think the majority of this team sees what's in front of them. They know the task at hand. And, their play will speak on Saturday, man. If they don't take care of business, then they're not playing for shit. You know what I'm saying? And then it is what it is. And we go into next year with better hopes. But I feel you, Colin. I feel you. And that should piss people off, that guys are laughing on the sideline when you're getting dogged out at home, you know what I'm saying, on senior night. So I feel you on that. But, to the guys that Colin is talking to, that it does mean something to him. Those are the guys that you are going to look to step up and make those plays. Because at the end of the day, it's like it comes down to the guys making the plays, executing the offense, defense, getting the stops, getting the turnovers, right? It's those other guys, they don't matter, man. Because if they've been saying that to him all year and they're still doing this, it's like those guys they probably won't be there too much longer, Colin. Let's just put it that way, right? So I feel you. I don't want you to get worked up over it. I know you are because you're passionate about it, but I always got hope for our Cardinals, man. I know there's a couple guys in there because I know them legit personally. They want this. It just hasn't gone their way every game, unfortunately. But that's why I kept telling Pat, like, you still got to play the game. We still got to go in there and play. And you never know, man. That's how college football is, man. You think a team's going to win by 30, and then then they drop a ball. I don't. And Toledo's shown it this year, right? They shown it against Bowling Green. There was another game they should have won. But they're notorious for dropping games like this, and Ball State's known to go into the Glass Bowl and put some magic together, right? So we'll see, man.
Yeah, one other thing we haven't mentioned tonight, I think, really at all. I guess Colin might have mentioned it when we were talking to Pat earlier, but again, if they're going to do this, they got to figure out something they haven't been able to do even remotely close this year, and that's go and win on the road, and they got to do it 2 weeks in a row if they're going to get this. So. If they're going to figure it out, it's still salvageable. But like on my first chirp, this is your last chance. If you drop this one, that goal is now gone, and it's on to trying to win that trophy against Miami of Ohio. So we'll see where we're at on Sunday when we get back here. So all right, let's get into some listener questions, and we'll get everyone out of there. Again, we appreciate everyone watching along with us tonight. Be sure to, if you got any last second things you want to get in, drop them in here, and we'll read them right now. So first over on YouTube, our friend from Ohio, Mr. Stephen Vitt. So Mr. Bobcat here, rooting for the Cardinals to beat the Rockets. I wonder if that has anything to do with the MAC championship race here. But we appreciate you, Stephen, for dropping by. Our guy Shay Kramer over on Twitter. Let's hope we don't get they don't get up big and then have a 2-hour weather delay like in 2014. I was telling Pat about this before we got on. This happened, in 2014. I think Toledo was up 17-0 pretty much instantly, and then we had to go sit in the locker room for 2 hours for a lightning delay. And then I inadvertently got Matt Campbell hitting the balls by a referee throwing a ball off the field, and I stepped out of the way at the last second because I didn't realize the ball was coming. So thankfully he didn't, beat me down right there on the sidelines. But so here's some of it when we were getting into actually Lucas Zimborski. We were talking about Miles McLaughlin. He said 1A football, not 6A football. Not trying to take it away like what Colin was saying, but a big difference. And so another name actually popped up as we've been talking on the show. Obviously, we talked about Carson Steele and we talked about Charlie Spiegel and these guys. But another name I want to put out there, who I believe is the all-time leading rusher in all of college football, and then went on to play in the NFL for a while. Danny Woodhead, another name like that. He was a diamond in the rough guy, played Division III football, which you would think would never have a chance to do it. So is Miles McLaughlin going to be Danny Woodhead? Probably not, but he could be. And so I like the fact that Ball State is kind of putting that out there and taking a chance on, which I think Colin agrees. I think he agrees. He's just kind of a little more we'll kind of wait and see.
Right.
Colin, your guy, Mr. Voras, he said Ball State needs to include the second string quarterback in the offense. The MAC opponents have clearly solved the current offense, and we need some new solutions. I don't necessarily disagree with him on this. I think he is right, but I don't think they're going to do anything different. I think Kyle came back for his 5th year. I think they're going to honor that, and I don't think they're going to bench him with 2 weeks left. I know we talked about this on maybe it was last week or on Sunday, but do either of you see any changes or any implementation of another quarterback? Willie, I'll start with you.
Not this week, but if they lose this week, I could see them going with the other guy for like the last game. If he's going to come in next year, they probably just want to see him going into the next year. That's the only way I see it. But if they win this game, I see Kyle still starting the last game. Like you said, he's a senior. He came back for his 5th year. You want to give that guy every opportunity, even if like we're playing for something right now. But if we're not playing for anything next week, you could see a change.
No matter what happens this week, Willie, the Redbird Rivalry Trophy will be on the line next week.
That's
something
right.
that has eluded us for a while. Colin, I'll pose the same thing to you. Do you see any implementation of a second quarterback here in the last 2 weeks?
I do. I think I do see it somewhere, but let me just preface it with this. Like, this Toledo game, since there is a bowl game still in front of us, I think we have to start Kyle, right? Now, if it doesn't go well early on, like if this second quarter doesn't look good, say we're down 14-3 at halftime. I think then maybe at halftime you do look and say, hey, Walter Taylor, like, let's give it a spin. Let's see what you got. Or Aiden Leffler. I really don't know who the second string quarterback is. But if there's a chance late in the game that we could and the offense is sputtering, then I say you do have to try someone else. But he's a fifth-year senior. I want to respect that and what he's given to Ball State in general, especially waiting a whole year, being told he's a defensive back, having to wait behind red shirts, and then maybe only get 4 games here and there. Because honestly, in my heart of hearts, I'll die for Ball State, but I do think Ball State did Kyle wrong his first 4 years here. So in a sense, I do feel in a way that we kind of owe him this. But if it's gonna tank the season, it can't tank the season. So I see it, but like I think we give him one more shot here. If we lose next year, I want to see those red shirts. I want to see, the red shirt linebackers that we got in the tank. I want to see the quarterbacks that could possibly come back next year. I want to see anybody and everybody that has a chance to come back next year. But at the same time, the Redbird rivalry is still important. So that's just how I feel. It's really nuanced because, like, I like Kelly. He did a lot for us. He stayed when he could have left. But it's like, hey, we still have something here, So I'm kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I understand why Mr. Boris is saying it. Can you imagine your son balling out like that and having an all-time season for Ball State, and then you look at the other side of the ball and we can't move it? So that, I mean, I understand the question. It makes a lot of sense where it's coming from, but just like, I don't know.
That's why we're not paid to make these choices or make the decisions. So, Scott Simborski, our friend over on Facebook, we've all tailgated a time or two with him, said Colin's right about Indiana football. And he followed up with saying Lucas played 6A football and he played both ways. So a lot of people agreeing with Colin. And then our friend Shay here on Twitter is saying, I feel like Ball State has to swing to find some great players. Look at Carson Steele, we mentioned, in Quake, Juwan Edwards. He didn't have many offers coming out of school in North Carolina. So some guys can miss for sure. Like, obviously, like we said, Charlie Spiegel didn't really do a ton when he got here. I know he went to Indiana first. But yeah, you just kind of take your chances on some of these guys. And if you find a diamond in the rough, then you'll get them. Now, the problem is, if you do find that diamond in the rough, they're going to be gone shortly after. Willie, I'll ask you this question. Because if you had been playing in the NIL era, would you have stayed at Ball State your entire time, or do you think you would have ended up leaving?
I would have stayed all the way through until Keith left, and then I would have left. Because when I came in with Keith, I was a freshman, he was a sophomore, and the legit reason I left Ball State to go to the league was we didn't have a quarterback, and I had like record-breaking season in 3 different areas. So, if NIL was around in the transfer portal, I would have transferred out, probably went south somewhere. But I thought Ball State was good enough to just, get me to where I can get noticed, right? And I think most of these MAC schools are stepping stones unless you're just in a Power 4 school stepping down, right? Like if you're at the Ohio States of the world and you just want to go down to Toledo and still play winning football, right? And I think it's all about the culture that you build. Like Toledo has done that over the years. Like they've been known to be a winning and strong football program. So, Ball State is, I think it's an awesome stepping stone. I think it's a good place for teams, like for players to step down. Like if they're at a bigger Power 4 school and they step down, I think Ball State's a great stepping stone in that way. But honestly, the past couple of years, like Ball State hasn't put out the best, football, when it comes to just like getting recruits and like getting guys to want to come back. So, it's a trick question. It's a tricky question because, it just depends on the team, how well they're doing. Like when I was there, we were doing really well. Like we went to 2 bowl games back to back. We didn't win a bowl game, but, it's like we still had a really strong team at that point. So, I mean, for me personally, I probably would have left because it's just, I'm a kid from the South. And if there's opportunities, you always want to take those, right? You're never going to tell a kid not to take an opportunity to do, bigger and better things, right? Because the NFL is not guaranteed for anybody. So as long as you're in it, if you have an opportunity to make some money or get some type of recognition, you want to be able to do that. So that's what I would have did.
And obviously the NIL era is great for players. It gives them a lot more power, a lot more opportunities to make money and build their brand. One thing I would like to see change in this era, though, is let's say we keep bringing the name up, but Carson Steele is a perfect example because he was the first, person where this really affected Ball State. Ball State's the only school that offered him. I think there should be some sort of buyout type of scenario where if UCLA comes to Ball State and says, "Hey, you've found this guy, you trained him up, you made him good, and all this. Now we're just going to take him." I don't like that. I think UCLA, if these guys have the money to buy out coaches at $15-20 million a year, they got money to give Ball State $300,000 to get a player. So I think there should be some sort of buyout clause in these where if you're going to come take our players, that's fine. We're going to let them go and play. I think that Ball State should be compensated of some kind. Yeah, because if someone's going to if Florida's going to come take Willie Snead. Willie Snead's our best player of all time. We need to see something, Florida Gators. You guys are paying like 5 coaches at one time. You can pay for Willie Snead.
That's a hell of a deal, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That would be crazy if it got to that point, John. I'm not gonna lie. Like where you start, like, nah, you gotta pay for that kid. He can't leave just without. Nah, we need something for that kid.
Especially because and these schools are paying.
So you got to put these kids on contracts now, right? You got to put them on a 2-year deal. Mm-hmm. And if a team wants to buy out his contract out of the first year, like
exactly,
oh man, what kind of college sports would that be? What would that be?
Well, what happens if we somehow found the next Josh Allen and we're sitting here thinking, all right, we're going to have this guy for 2 or 3 years and then we're just going to lose him right away? No, I don't want that to go away. I want to keep them. I want to keep these guys.
That's the next level of this stuff right there. That's right. That's a hot take right there.
Yeah.
Have to come back right now.
Our Fred Shea over on Twitter, he was talking about ideas to get people to games. And this is a cool one. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. If not, I could break it down a little bit. Free concessions like Coastal Carolina does. Are you guys familiar with this?
Mm-mm.
So, yes. Willie, basically, if you go to a Coastal Carolina football game, you buy a ticket, you scan to go in, you go up to the concession stand, you just take whatever you want.
Oh, man, they're doing it
It's just sitting there.
Yep. It's just sitting there. You walk up. And now I think you can only take so many of certain things at a time. But if you want to go and get a hot dog and a popcorn and a pretzel and a drink, you just walk up there, grab it. Nope, you don't owe them anything. You just walk and go sit down. So
every game is like that?
I think every. I don't know if it's every sporting event. I know it's every football game. Wow. So I have no idea how Ball State could do something like that. But maybe one night they do that. Maybe for a half of one game they do that. That would be something fun. I would like that.
Like, where do they make the money? Like, where's the trade off? How much is the ticket? Like,
I don't know. I think it's a normal price. I don't know how it works. But our friend Allie on YouTube, next episode of Cardwood. This is a great question. This is a great question. So Trey obviously is in Europe. So me and him have a huge time difference. And usually it works out, but right now Trey's mom is over there visiting him. So for like the last week she's been there. So we didn't want to take time away from him and his mom. We're working on getting one out either on Friday or Monday this coming week. So either before the Indiana State game or right after. So that's a great question. I haven't really said much about it, but yeah, he's got family in town over there in, I believe, Switzerland. And so I didn't want to take time away from that so he could spend time with his family. Mr. Szymborski again. Aiden is the second string. Yeah. So the few times you've seen Kyle Kelly sit out plays this year, Aiden Leffler is the one who comes in. Obviously, we hear a lot about Walter Taylor because I think maybe he's a name that people know and had heard, being a big time.
He looks bigger.
So, yeah. So Allie, again, a good point, John. The NIL era definitely needs some fleshed out. I've heard similar ideas to yours. Yeah. So mine isn't anything groundbreaking or anything. I'm definitely not the first person to ever say it, but there's definitely some things where, the school used to have all the power and the players had really none. And now really the players have pretty much all the power and the schools has a lot less. And I don't know that either of those extremes are where we want to be. I think we want to kind of be more in the middle. So I don't know how that works. Again, I'm not paid to make that decision. So, and the last one here, Shay over on Twitter one more time. Way to fix Carson Steele situation. If a player stays 3+ years at a school, they can play a 5th year. Okay. I kind of like that idea. You get an extra year to play if you stay a certain amount of years. I like that idea. I do like that. So that could be in any direction. If you start, maybe at Ball State and you go somewhere else and you want to play a third extra year at, let's say, Virginia Tech, you can do that. Or if you go Virginia Tech, you transfer down to Ball State, you can get an extra year on that back end. So I kind of like that idea. I hadn't heard that one before, Shay. I do like that idea though. Okay, that's all of our listener comments and questions here, boys. I'll open the floor. Any last things from either of you? Colin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I just want to thank the viewers. We got over 100 people watching on Twitter alone right now. So thank everybody for showing up. Keep supporting us. Make sure you go over to YouTube if you're watching on Twitter, because everybody likes to watch on Twitter. Go over to YouTube. I know it's a different app, but make sure you go there, subscribe, and get us another, subscriber. We're trying to get as many as we can before the season ends, and just so we can keep, putting this out, give us the best product, give you guys the best product we can.
Mr. Sneed, any final words for the fans?
No, I appreciate all the fans listening. It's been a long show, almost 2 hours. And, Ball State's not having the best year, but you guys continue to show up, and we really appreciate it, man. It just lets us know that we're putting out good content, that we're trying to, highlight some guys, highlight some teams, people that, love their teams, like Toledo. Pat came on today. We really appreciate him. But appreciate all you guys just tuning in, watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a good night, and we'll look to see you after a Ball State victory on Sunday.
There we go. And so that's going to wrap up tonight's Ball State at the Union, the Toledo preview. Again, the Cardinals, a true must-win this weekend in the Glass Bowl if they want to go to a bowl game, or even there's still technically an outside chance they can go to the MAC championship game. That's a whole nother discussion. But we'll be back Sunday for a full recap of the game, as well as you guys showed out last week with the former player interviews with Keith Winning. So we're going to roll it back. And we got another big name coming on this weekend. Willie, another one of your former teammates, former defensive end for Ball State and the Indianapolis Colts, the one, the only, Mr. Jonathan Newsom. So be sure to be with us at 8:30. Jonathan will be on to start, and then we'll talk about the Toledo game afterwards. So you guys showed out and you watched and you let us know that you loved it. So we're going to keep doing it. So thank you again for tuning in tonight. Again, like these guys said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you watch the show, so we can keep growing it, keep getting more people involved. Tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell your grandma, whoever you got to tell about Ball State of the Union. Be sure to tell them that we're live on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8:30. So until Sunday, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.